Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Coffee and Cups podcast. It is week 4. It is our first official midweek episode. We got some changes coming for you, and we have a special guest for you today that Derek will intro here in a little bit.
It's time to wake up and check what's brewing. Welcome to Coffee and Cups, your Sunday morning sportscast with your hosts, Chris and Derek.
Hello there. Welcome back again. Just a reminder that this episode of the Coffee and Cups podcast is brought to you, as always, by our partner, Synergy Coffee Chicago. We just got a fresh shipment of the Kite Runner beans in. Justin took a little bit different approach this week, roasted the beans for 4 to 5 hours instead of the typical 1 to 2 hours. You can definitely notice a little bit more of a mellow smell right off the bat. I don't get fully caffeinated just by sniffing the bag this time, but smooth as always. I've actually started brewing extra and putting in the fridge, have a little nice iced coffee the next day, and that's how I've been enjoying it. But again, shout out, thank you as always to Justin. And if you guys saw on our social media, we did have some of the merch samples. Derek should be getting his mug soon, as well as his coffee and shirts. So, Derek, kick it over to you.
So how's your week this week? Anything good and exciting happening on over in the Chicagoland area? I know you got the merch, so I know you're pretty excited about it. I'm excited to get my hands on it. I know it should be hopefully here this week, but anything outside of the merch and the new release?
Nothing too much. Watched a lot of football again this week. Joined a gym because I haven't been in the gym in a while. So, trying to be an athlete again, get back on the ice. Other than that, nothing too crazy. Been a pretty boring week for me, honestly. So I don't have too much for you.
What gym did you join?
I don't know. It's called Reps Fitness and Nutrition
Where's that?
in Chicago.
Sounds ghetto. Where at in Chicago? You got neighborhoods there.
Westtown. It's where I live.
Get a sponsorship.
A gym sponsorship?
No, get a sponsorship for the pod from the gym.
That's
You
what
just
I'm
gave them a subtle.
I gotta get him some notoriety first. I need more listeners, so somebody's got to help me out with that. Derek's got to start listening. Derek doesn't even listen to his own show, so it's gonna be on him.
No,
at this
but
point.
with that, these folks are going to be wondering who we have in there. So, folks, this is Mike, diehard Lions fan. Almost, you
Okay.
could say, an NFL fanatic. I will tell you, he's a walking, talking stat machine, whether it's history and or current up-to-date information. So he will bring a good little twist into this episode there. So that's kind of a little bit on Mike. Now, Mike, what have you been up to this week? I know you probably didn't join a gym because you go to the gym regularly.
Yes, I already have a gym.
What gym
Wife
do
and
you
I
go to?
We go to the center. It's over here in Adrian. So
Oh, he said I'm bougie.
It's just called the Center. There's no name. It's just the Center.
Yeah, it's actually at a
yeah,
Christian school.
it's at Lenawee Christian Center.
Oh, gotcha.
but
Okay.
The gym part, it's got like a gym, pool, outdoor area, a little bit
Nice.
of a daycare for the little one too. So that's why we
Nice.
joined that one.
That's right. I forgot about that. How's
Yeah,
that
I
going
did
for
yoga
you?
there once.
Derek was talking over you. I don't know.
Oh,
what you
so I was
asked,
just saying,
Chris.
how is that going for you? I forgot about the little one, making obviously life a little interesting.
It's great. Yeah, it is interesting, but yeah, I love it. Definitely fun being a dad.
Well, nobody asked Derek what he's done this week. So Derek, what do you have for us before we get going?
I haven't done a whole lot this week, to be honest with you. Pretty much just work. I watched a few football games on Sunday, but honestly, I can't even remember what I did on Sunday. So yeah, we'll just skip that because Sunday probably wasn't very memorable. Oh no, I watched the 1 o'clock games and then I took a nap. So
No,
that was pretty much it.
That's fair.
You didn't,
I'll
didn't
start by
watch the
getting
Lions game.
Mike fired up. Mike, I found a stat today that I know you'll love.
Is it about Caleb Williams?
No, it's about Patrick
Okay.
Mahomes. Since 2018, Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs have the most interceptions nullified by pass interference calls. 17 total interceptions that Mahomes has thrown since 2018 have been called back due to defensive pass interference. That was an interesting
rewrite the rules on pass interference for and against.
Yeah, I thought that was an interesting one. It came across my feed today.
So kind of running through that, we can kind of go into, honestly, I think that was a very exciting, kind of interesting week 3. I know that we talked last episode about how it was kind of up and down with some of the players. So I kind of want to go through and just run through some thoughts and the recaps of what we saw over in week 3. So just going to honestly pose one of the biggest questions in Sam Darnold. Is he truly for real? I mean, just kind of going through and seeing the performance that he put up this week. I know that it was obviously a good defensive game in the Vikings side, but putting up 34 against that Texans defense, pretty strong performance there. So especially out of someone that was a backup. So what are we thinking there? I'm kind of really curious to see what you have on this one, Mike, and what you think of Sam and that Vikings defense, knowing that they will be coming down the field there for the Lions.
I would say it's more of Kevin O'Connell than Sam Darnold, because he has that magic touch with quarterbacks. Because if you look back to last year, Mullins went off in the 2 games that he played against Detroit. Granted, Detroit's pass defense was trash last year, but I think the Vikings are always for real. Somehow, some way, they always kind of hang out. I didn't think they would be, especially with JJ going down. I do think the North, NFC North specifically, I know you're a Browns fan, but the North is definitely the best conference. I think them and the NFC West can put up a good argument for that. And I think the Vikings will be tough no matter who's playing at quarterback.
Yeah, I think the same thing. I think Kevin O'Connell, whoever you have under center is going to be good. I mean, we saw the stats that Kirk Cousins was putting up last year before his injury. I thought he's going to have a big year at JJ. And the crazy thing you look at, too, is Jordan Addison and TJ Hawkinson, 2 of the top 3 targets for the Vikings, are sidelined with injuries right now. So, definitely think there's a lot of potential there. And also, we've talked about this before, but Sam Darnold's been in the NFL since, I think, 2018 or 2019. Dude's only 27 years old. I believe he's younger than Lamar. He's younger than Joe Burrow. He's still one of the younger starting quarterbacks in the NFL. So what I think is a more interesting question about that offense is, if Sam Darnold goes above and beyond, the JJ situation is going to get interesting, because I think obviously you want to play him. You spent a top 15 pick on him, but it's always tough to move off a 27-year-old quarterback that's the only quarterback in the NFL that's put up 300 yards and 3 touchdowns in a game through 3 weeks this year. So it'll be interesting. But
that's a false statement.
Yep. I was going to say Andy Dalton came out to fire the rocket.
Oh, that's true. It was.
Andy Dalton's the only one to do it.
Sorry,
year.
I did. Yeah, that's my bad. I was thinking
You're right. Backup quarterback that's been written off many times. Minnesota has their future with JJ. With JJ getting hurt this year, just helped the fact that Sam Darnold is performing, and then it's just going to be JJ's team next year. Whether Sam Darnold comes back and signs as a backup, or it will probably just end up going to, we're going to move on from him, and some other team, I don't know, Panthers probably are going to reap the benefits of a redemption shot.
See, that's why I kind of feel almost bad for him, though, because I feel like he's going to tear it up this year, and then we're going to start McCarthy next year, and he's going to go somewhere and maybe not find that success again and being kind of an awkward situation. He's definitely going to get paid. He'll get a contract, but yeah, I'm curious, and I hope he goes to a good situation, but obviously he's been in, 2 bad situations and 1 good situation, but he was the backup in San Francisco. So yeah, I just hope he can find a good spot to land on his feet.
That's the difference. The years spent at San Francisco, I view it as he's going to have a similar route as Baker does. Baker was written off by the Browns, went down to the same place as Sam Darnold, Carolina, and that place is quarterbacks go to die. Sorry, Andy Dalton, you might be the outlier.
He was already dead. He can't die again.
But then Baker goes off, signed a day before he has to go get forced into playing in LA. And then that time over there where, hey, I'm just going to play free because this isn't my team. I don't have a future here. And I think that's kind of where Sam Darnold is. I think it would be, as a Lions fan, I hope that the Vikings get into that, oh crap, what do we do? Do we keep Sam Darnold? Do we play JJ? And then it just makes a mess from there. But a good organization understands if you're going to draft a quarterback that high in JJ, he's the future. This is just a development year, which I think is good because I'm outside of a few outliers. You can't survive in the NFL as a rookie quarterback.
Yeah.
You got Bryce Young, who just got benched.
Yep.
And then if you look around, just past that, Drake May, backup in Jacksonville. Kenny Pickett, backup in Philly. They're not with their teams that drafted them in the first round or high picks. And I think that's where New England saw their mistake, and they're doing it right this year.
Yeah.
There's only a few outliers that can say they're going to start as a rookie and stay on that. And I think a big question mark now is Jacksonville. There's a lot of rumors and things circulating about, is Trevor Lawrence the guy? So,
well, they just gave him the bag like he's the guy. One interesting stat, speaking of the rookie quarterbacks, we'll have plenty of time to shit down Caleb Williams' throat throughout this show today.
Love it.
But he did play in the early game yesterday, and Jaden Daniels didn't play until the night. And Caleb, with 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions, was actually the first rookie quarterback to throw a touchdown this year in week 3, because Bo Nix still doesn't have one. He had a rushing touchdown this week.
He has 2 rushing.
Yeah, so he has rushing touchdowns.
Don't talk bad on Bo.
No, I like Bo Nix. Another one where the coaching situation, I like that. But yeah, so Caleb, with his struggles, was the first quarterback of the rookie class to throw a touchdown. And then Jaden Daniels obviously followed up with a 91% completion percentage, 2 touchdowns, and a rushing touchdown last night. Just absolutely shredding Cincinnati after Cam Taylor-Britt went to the media earlier in the week and said that Washington just kind of has a college offense, and nothing too much to worry about. They just kind of baby him with short intermediate throws. So I thought that was interesting, and he looked incredible last night.
On that quote, did you hear his post-game quote?
No, I was looking for that, but I didn't get around to seeing it yet.
So he stuck. Power to him. He's a man about it. He stuck to it, and he said, "Yeah, and they got the best of us." If it's gonna work, you got Cliff Kingsbury, who is a college coach.
Yep.
He did well with Kyler, and then Kyler gets hurt, and he gets ran out of Arizona. I think Jaden Daniels is the perfect quarterback to run his system. And if you're going to run that college style, now I'm in the mindset of that's not going to last long. It will work in the NFL. It won't be consistent, and it won't last long. That's the biggest issue with having it, is there's a reason why the pro style and drop back under center is still around.
Yeah.
And these spread offenses, they come and go, but they adapt to the kind of under center quarterbacks. And that's why they have longevity in the NFL.
Yeah. Remind me of this conversation when we get to the Browns game. I saw something interesting today on this topic for that.
I honestly couldn't even tell you if we should cover the Browns game. The fact that
Daniel Jones coming out.
Yeah, Daniel Jones decided that he actually did know how to throw a dime and had 3 touchdowns there. It was a rough game. But honestly, on that, so kind of going back to our original conversation there where we were talking about Sam Darnold, I guess my question, and to kind of end the whole Sam Darnold talk, is looking forward to the next 2 years, where do you think would be the best for Sam? Originally, just hearing your guys' conversation, I was a little bit caught off guard and or didn't expect to where you guys thought would be a great fit for him.
What if Brock Purdy is terrible this year? What if he goes back to San Fran?
I don't think Brock Purdy would be the terrible fit, but at the same time, do they want to pay him?
Yeah.
He's the next one due. So apparently it was Shanahan that recommended Darnold to KOC.
I think last year in the preseason, it was either Shanahan or Lynch, John Lynch, that came out during camp and was like, as far as like talent wise, he's the best thrower of the football I've ever seen. Like supremely talented, and that's interesting. I know there's kind of obviously the coaches are very close throughout the NFL, but yeah, I don't know what else do you think would be a good fit for him. I'm trying to.
Very tough because trying to predict that.
Yeah.
There's going to be 6 or 7 coaches fired this year.
Yeah.
So
We already lost one at halftime Monday.
Huh?
who we leave at halftime?
We lost a coach at halftime. It was, I want to say it was Jackson's coach. The Jags coach was fired at halftime.
No,
No, that definitely was not.
that did not happen.
Doug Peterson was not fired at halftime.
Oh, well, then that
Now-
was a wonderful rumor that I heard then.
Now,
'Cause when I woke up this morning, I had saw that.
I would say there is a coach that coached on Monday that probably won't be the coach next year.
Yeah.
And that's going to be Cincinnati's coach.
Who's going to be Cincinnati? Oh, sorry.
I think.
You think
I
Zach Taylor's out?
I think Zach Taylor's out. Apparently, there was a closed door meeting immediately after in the locker room.
Never good.
Starting 0-3 is not good when you had the expectation of the only reason why we didn't perform last year was because Burrow got hurt.
Mhm.
They're going to pay Chase. They already paid Burrow. So you get embarrassed on national TV by a rookie quarterback that your defense could do nothing against, and you're going to have so much money spent on 2 guys. I get it. It is the NFL. Cap space is created out of thin air, but it's going to be trouble in paradise. And how can you sell back-to-back losing seasons if Burrow stays healthy the whole year?
Yeah.
And
It's okay. They're in the AFC North, and we're fine with that. We need a bottom feeder, and we have a bottom feeder. Does it happen to be Pretty Boy Joe? It does. That's fine. Try a new hairstyle.
I don't
try
know.
some
If,
new
I don't know if I would
Slim.
call them.
Maybe he'll call Caleb. Maybe he'll paint his nails. But what I will say is the
I
answer
wouldn't
that I was
call
looking
them
for-
bottom feeders. That's a bold move.
I'd say this
Certainly
year
the
they are.
Last year at the bottom.
I'll
So we call that consistently losing, which makes them a bottom feeder. But what I will say is the answer that I was kind of looking for and just thinking about the play style and what kind of fits the team. I know Bill's gone, but sounds like you guys have more confidence in Drake May to step up and be a better ball player than putting Sam Darnold in there.
I wouldn't say that. I think Drake May. I think at his ceiling, Drake May can over. Sam Darnold needs to be in the right system. I mean, everybody does, but you're not going to move off Drake May in the second year. Give me actually the LA Rams for Sam Darnold next year.
That wouldn't be bad.
Give me Sean
Where's
McVay.
Stafford going?
He's not going anywhere unless
He's
he
37,
walks out.
38. He's got this year maybe one more year left in him.
They could do the it's not necessarily the best route, but Sam Darnold may take it as a, hey, you're going to be the successor, and basically put it in his contract that you will compete for the starting job once Stafford leaves. I don't have Stafford's contract right in front of me as far as how many years left, but I know
I can pull it up if as we move on. Yeah, I can pull it up.
he's getting up there in age. He's already has a Super Bowl. This year is not going well as far as everyone around him is getting hurt. If we go into the speculation, the whole Kelly Stafford wasn't going to go to the Detroit game and then changed it to I do want to go and it was essentially her saying it could be Stafford's last game in Detroit where his career started. That's not crazy because the way the schedule works, the next time the Lions play the Rams is more than likely going to be in LA. Then we're going to wait a couple more years and then they're going to play again in Detroit. So would he be around for another 4 years? Probably not, just due to his age.
He's got 2 years left on his contract after this year. He's got 25 and 26.
So if he's got 25, 26, are they voidable? Are you on? It's all right if you don't know.
I don't have all the detail on there, but I know he restructured this past year. So yeah, he's got 2 years left. Just brought that cap it down. He's currently 36 years old, so he'll be 38 and a half essentially when his contract's up. So
Darnold will be 29 and a half, 30 when that So, I mean, he could.
Just
He
entering his
that
prime.
could be McVay's. That could be McVay's successor plan.
Yeah.
It's not a bad one.
No.
That's a good spot. McVay's another quarterback coach, offensive coach, and I think that's what will help Sam Darnold. I think that's what hurt him in some of his other spots. That's what's hurting some current quarterbacks is they have a defensive-minded coach and they need that development. That's the
Caleb
toughest
Williams.
thing. Yeah, I mean, they were. If we go to Chicago, they malpractice all their quarterbacks that they get.
Yeah.
They don't sign them to second contracts.
Yeah,
and then they go to the Pittsburgh Steelers and find success for a little bit. Trubisky, not so much, but
he was
Justin
more
Fields is
competent
QB.
there than they. I mean, well, I guess no, he did have that one good season in Chicago. So yeah, it's a competent organization.
I do want to take that and almost segue this whole thing. I know we can go through and we can run down some of these scores, and I will, and I'm going to get to the stopping point here. So we'll go. We have obviously our first night, Thursday night, we had Pats 3, Jets 24. Don't think I'm super surprised on that. Aaron Rodgers looked very good. I don't know if you guys have anything crazy on that, but it looked like a pretty straightforward old Aaron Rodgers game. I mean, that looked like Aaron Rodgers from 2-3 years ago. Don't really want to spend any time talking about the Browns and or the Giants. That was just a terrible game. Danny Dimes chose to go back through and get some dimes thrown there. Obviously, his just neighbors in general. I mean, that was just crazy first half that they can go through and have. And Cleveland just somehow can't bring back their defense from what they had last year and could not score any points throughout the whole game. Obviously, only having any of their points in the first and or fourth quarter. Nothing crazy with the Packers and kind of Titans there. It's kind of exactly what I expected. Packers coming out on top. Now, we'll kind of use this segue just because we'll kind of skip the other two games below this, but we've talked obviously old Bears quarterbacks. So not surprised on the new Bears quarterback and where they're performing just based off of history and what they do to their rookies and how they get them beat up in there. But where I kind of want to jump down to and what we want to spend time on here, possibly a couple seconds, is just Justin Fields actually performing, but also the defense and how they were actually able to, on the Steelers side of things, contain the Chargers. Was anybody else surprised on that? I was a little bit surprised. I thought that game would be a little bit more of a shootout.
Yes and no.
And I thought the secondary would get burned, but I got stood correct.
Well, I mean, when did Herbert go down though? Like he was tearing it up. He was like 12 for 14, 120 yards and a touchdown at some point. And I know he went down. Mike, I don't know. I wasn't watching the game.
He went down. I believe it was after halftime. I'm trying to pull up the
yeah, because I think it was tied or like a 3-point game when he went down, and then Pittsburgh scored a couple times. I mean, Pittsburgh's Pittsburgh, man. They're shout out to Mike Tomlin, the Roonies, everybody. It's just a super well run organization, and they play defensive football. And yeah, there's not a ton to say there. They slowed down the Chargers offense a little bit. Shout out to Scott Matlock, the Ginger Giant. Jim Harbaugh did what Jim Harbaugh does, and he took a 300-pound defensive lineman, stuck number 44 on him, and made him catch passes and go on special teams too. But yeah, not too surprised there. I think two teams that were 2-0 that we were probably all surprised by. But yeah, I don't have a ton on this game.
I think it's less surprising. Steelers have one of the best defenses in the league, if not the best defense in the league. They have the best defensive player in the league, and I will stand by TJ Watt is the best defensive player in the league.
Yeah.
Sorry, Myles Garrett, but TJ Watt
true.
is unreal. Myles Garrett is great too, but TJ Watt's better.
I think
Joey
he's more
Bosa
versatile.
also went down. I know we're talking like Steelers defense, but Joey Bosa went down on the other side early in that game as well. And then the Chargers also had injuries to their line. So they also went in with a hobbled Herbert. I mean, he was what was the worst thing to happen, and he re-aggravated the injury that he had going into the game. But you got to play him. You don't really. I mean, Heineke's your backup when everyone thought it was going to be Easton Stick. Hockey Stick couldn't come out and ball out, but Heineke's not a bad backup. They run the ball a lot, so I don't think the Chargers will be that. If Herbert can't go, this week's tough with the Chiefs, but if he's out for a while, it won't be bad. But as far as a surprise, I would say that game ended up exactly how I thought it would be, a defensive matchup. The under hit, barely. Thank God Najee went down, and then Tomlin wanted to take a knee. Respect. But The Steelers are a good team, and they were a good team last year. I mean, they just needed a quarterback.
Did you
And I
guys
think
watch? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Mike.
No, I just think at the end of the day, they got their quarterback that they can roll with. Now, let's just hope that they don't there's nothing hidden in Wilson's contract that's going to state that if he's healthy, he has to start, because Tomlin today is still refusing to announce Fields as the quarterback one.
Interesting.
So I don't know if I think Fields is better quarterback of the two currently, and they need to just roll with him because they move the ball offensively. And I mean, Fields went 245, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, 2 sacks. So I mean, that's not bad offensive numbers for a team that wants to run the ball a lot. And just the 1 interception is the issue that Tomlin doesn't like, because you could be a quarterback if you just don't turn the ball over for his team, and you will win. There's a reason why he has never had a losing season.
Yeah.
So it sounds like it's safe to say you expected this season out of the Steelers this year.
No, because I thought they were going to go with Wilson. I will say I have a future on
Okay.
the under, and I think that's dead. But for a buddy of mine, a buddy of ours that is a big Steelers fan, I'm all for the Steelers doing well, because I thought they would start Wilson, and I think Wilson is not a good quarterback. I thought Fields was the better quarterback of the two, and the fact that he's playing is the reason why they're where they are. I don't know if they would be where they are if Wilson was the starter.
Yeah.
I almost agree with everything. I've had conversations earlier on in the year prior to, I think it was actually maybe preseason, with our buddy too on that, and how I do not think that Wilson really should see the field. I understood the development side of getting Fields there because he was rushed into the NFL. But I will say, I mean, a lot of my pre-bets, I didn't have them for conference standing over third in the AFC North. So I'm very surprised. I mean, now they're leading the AFC North, and it looks like a lot of teams are going to struggle to stop them, just based off of what their defense can do and how they can hold the ball.
Yeah.
And I mean, and that's the thing, is the defense. Go ahead, Chris.
I think it's a tale of both sides, though. Like, the Steelers are 3-0, and then somehow the rest of the division decided to, I mean, you got the Bengals at 0-3, the Ravens at 1-2, and then are the Browns 1-2 as well? So, I mean,
Yep. Only beating Jags.
Yeah, it'll be interesting, because I don't think that's necessarily indicative of how good I think those 4 teams are, but obviously, the Steelers have done a great job of giving themselves a leg up early in the season, with starting off hot.
They're winning. I don't even want to call them bad football games, but they're finding a way to put together games, whether, they're playing bad football or whether they're playing good football. I mean, in the first game, obviously they won off of kicks, right? So they weren't playing good offense. But they're finding ways to have an advantage, get down the field, put themselves at a point where they can take positive points and go home.
They're winning the Steelers' way.
Yep.
I mean, they'll take a 13-7 win, and it doesn't matter at the end of the day. In their eyes, it doesn't matter how good the offense is, as long as at the end of the day it's a win and not a loss. I don't think that's sustainable once it comes to the playoffs, but it's the biggest thing about them every year is health. I mean, they rely so much on that defense that it seems like every year near the end of the season, a defensive player goes down.
So I think the kind of going through and just talking about like relying on your defense, I would change games completely, just switching off the Steelers and the Chargers, but a surprising defense. And maybe you guys aren't surprised by it. I know the Eagles have been good. Obviously, we've seen them going for the long haul, playoffs, Super Bowls, and whatnot in the last 4 years. But I'm very surprised that they could slow down Derek Carr and the Saints. I don't know if you guys are surprised by a 15-12 Eagles-Saints game, but I mean, for the Eagles not even to score just until the 4th, that was just a crazy defensive battle that I wasn't expecting. I actually put money on this game to hit the over. So I don't know if I was just a lone wolf out there and just completely delusional, or what you guys kind of thought going into this game, and kind of what we saw out of it.
Well, I think the Saints were kind of a bubble ready to pop, right? Nobody saw them doing what they did the first 2 weeks. And so I think this is them regressing back to the mean. But the thing that I am more surprised about is the Philly offense. And so I'm going to read you a stat here that I thought was very interesting. So A.J. Brown's been down for 2 weeks now. And in his career with A.J. Brown in the lineup. Jalen Hurts has played 33 games. He has a 65.7 completion percentage, 47 touchdowns, 23 interceptions, and his quarterback rating is, I can't find it. Sorry, it's not on here, but he averages 237.5 yards per game. Without A.J. Brown in the lineup, he has played 31 games in his career, so almost a 50-50 split. He is 59.8% completion percentage, so about 6 points worse. He averages 141 yards per game, almost 100 less, 23 touchdowns, 14 picks. His rating drops about 10 points without A.J. Brown. So I thought that was very interesting and telling, and I didn't realize it because I also didn't realize, how long A.J. Brown had been there. But that's the one for me. He might be the most impactful receiver in football right now. Just looking at what they did last year at the end of the season when he had some injuries, and then starting off this year, I know they won this week, but yeah, Hurts relies a ton on A.J. Brown, and so we'll see what happens there if he can't get healthy.
I'm going to flip that, and not completely, but obviously, yeah, Hurts is going to go through and rely on that too, but just going through and looking at, the slots, wide receivers 1 and 2, along with the slot wide receivers there, I just don't think that they are able to take advantage of the matchup by taking on the better defensive secondary guys. I don't know if you put that all on Hurts. Right? I mean, there's completely now way different pressure that they're seeing now that you don't have to worry about Brown. It's a completely different matchup.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, he's your one. There's a reason why you went out and traded for him. There's a reason why you went out and spent what you did on him. He's a great player. He is. I'm curious what other teams, like other quarterbacks, would be that way without their starter.
So I'm actually going to look at that right now, too. I'm looking up Mahomes with and without Kelsey. So I'll let you know.
I mean,
but Kelsey's not you got to look at him pre Tyreek Hill or after Tyreek.
I wouldn't do Mahomes because he's a different breed.
Yeah.
Similar to Hurts, I would say it's almost the opposite. If you look at Josh Allen, I think he's more successful without Stephon Diggs now than he was with Stephon Diggs. And
but I see that makes defenses scramble. They don't know who to cover, and he can find a mismatch. And I mean, that's where I'm saying, like with the A.J. Brown thing, is they have to cover him. It opens everybody else up.
The thing about Hurts though is, Bosa said it last year. They developed the solution on how to stop him. And then next thing you know, the Eagles couldn't finish the season. Now, is that because Big Dom wasn't allowed on the sideline, or is that because teams figured out how to take away Hurts? And I jokingly, in the beginning of the year, thought it was either going to be Hurts or Sirianni that's gone, and I still think it is one of them that's gone at the end of the year. I don't think the Eagles are gonna withstand this.
Spicy take.
I think they are. I play that on a spicy take. The East is up in the air, and they played good against the Saints, but like you said, is that just because the bubble finally burst on the Saints? I mean, if you look at their schedule, they killed the Panthers, and it was Bryce Young, and they beat the Cowboys, which everyone's like, oh, it's a great win. But then if you look at what the Ravens were able to do to the Cowboys before they gave up the lead, are the Cowboys actually not as good as we all thought they were?
Yeah.
No, the Cowboys started against the Browns.
So, is the Saints, this looks like a good win. They should have lost that game. You had a blocked punt and you dominated defensively, but then they just couldn't find they couldn't get in. And the Eagles have a good defense, but I don't know if it's going to last the whole year. Looking at the Eagles, trying to look at the Eagles' schedule here. So the Buccaneers, after getting kind of blown out, I guess, at home, and then they got the Browns and the Giants and the Bengals and the Jaguars. Very favorable schedule. Holy cow.
That's a damn good schedule.
It's a very favorable schedule. But then at the back end is when you get tough. You'll have, the Commanders are always tough. They were the ones that ruined the Eagles' perfect season a few years ago. Then you got the Rams, which at that point, are they going to be more healthy? We're looking at November. Ravens, Panthers. Okay, another probably easy walk unless Andy Dalton's still the quarterback. Steelers, Commanders, Cowboys, Giants. The East is a weird one because I think anyone can win it.
Yeah.
Why
Besides
not
the
the
Giants.
Commanders at this point? I mean, the way they played yesterday, now is that because are the Bengals that bad or are they that good?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that'll definitely be an interesting one to see. Sorry, I can't find. I was thinking Dak Prescott might be a good
that would be
comparable
a good
to
one.
that
Dak
with
without Lamb.
yeah, without CD Lamb. But I know we had Amari
That's probably
Cooper
a
before
good
that
comparison.
a little bit too. So I'll see if I can find anything on that. But
It's tough
Yeah.
though. I think a lot of it is Hurts relies on AJ Brown more than some of the other quarterbacks rely on their number one. I mean, the reason why I say not really Mahomes is because he's never really had, I mean, besides Tyreek Hill, he's never had a true receiver one. I think they may found one now with Rashee Rice, as long as he can stay on the field.
yeah,
But I mean, yeah, you could say Kelsey, but look at Kelsey's stats this year, and you'd probably be like, there's no way he's a top 10 tight end based on statistics this season. But he is because what he does all around game. So
yeah, I think that the biggest thing, and Derek kind of mentioned it, is AJ Brown allows you to the combination of him and Devontae Smith it makes defenses not be able to roll coverage as much, right? Whereas if you just have Brown or you just have Devontae Smith, you can roll coverage and bracket them. But if you have both of them in the lineup, you got to play a little more conservatively and kind of give them both that respect. So I think there's definitely an aspect there. But yeah, not overly surprised by the game. We'll see what Philly can do. But I think this was just the Saints coming back down to earth. I think this is still the Buccaneers division, but certainly better than I anticipated, with the Falcons looking a little better, and then obviously the Saints looking a little better through 3 weeks as well.
So for time's sake, we'll briefly brush the Buccaneers. I'm just going to continue to go through. Very, very surprised. I know that, and I would agree that they still will take that division, but very surprised in the 26-7 loss that they took. Relatively no offense coming out of there from a team that was pretty explosive the week prior to that. But you're just going to continue to do the run through.
Real
yeah,
quick,
go ahead.
just to touch on that.
Yeah.
I heard it on another podcast. Last year, teams that got done playing the 49ers struggled because of how good the 49ers offensive line is and defensive line and just the team in general. Now, it's early in the season. I'll be interested to see how it is this week. But if you look at the other, who's now a lot of people, and I'm just going to say because I'm a Lions fan, but a lot of national people say Lions have the best offensive line in the league.
True.
Their defense, if you look at what they've done, there is gotten way better than what it was last year. I mean, they've held everyone under 20 points at 20 points or less through 3 weeks. They should have beat the Buccaneers, but the offense cost them that game. So if you have a tough team in trenches, the Rams got killed by the Cardinals the next week. Buccaneers get killed by the Broncos after playing the Lions. The Lions could be that team that after you play them, you're dealing with the basically getting manhandled up front. So it would be interesting to see the Cardinals play the Commanders this week. So if that's the case, if the Commanders go off, it is a little kind of trend you can look at as, holy crap, teams that get done playing the Lions, how are they the next week? So it could just be they just played a tough game in Detroit coming home. Did they overlook the Broncos? Or was it just, hey, we still got to get healthy? Because they were hurt going into the Detroit game and they got more hurt leaving the Detroit game.
That's fair.
Yes.
I think another one to keep an eye on for that same stat would probably be the new look Chargers, just because obviously, similar to your point, they're going to play a very physical game. Rashawn Slater, Joe Alt, some of their offensive linemen, and then, got the big boy at fullback. They're going to hit people in the mouth, whether they win or not. And that obviously can take a toll on the front seven of defenses. So I do like that stat. That's interesting to see if that becomes a trend.
And Baker Hutchinson had 5.5 sacks on Baker. So Baker was on the ground too. So, I mean, even that, it's all right. You have that, do I got to get the ball out quicker kind of deal? And one of those things. And it's an interesting stat, both offense, defense to look at. And I think, the Chargers probably are a good one to look at too. Will be interesting because the Steelers are built that way. So it may be tough to tell this week. But, I mean, the Steelers are another similar, except their offensive line is not as good as I would say the Chargers are definitely not as good as Lions.
No, that's fair. And actually, I'm going to continue to just do like a little scoreboard preview here. And then I think that's a fair call out because what we're going to go and run into next year is going to be our kind of week 4 interests. I'll be honest, I don't have a whole crazy lot of things for week 4. Before we do that, though, I'm just going to finish. I know we have the Panthers Raiders there at 36-22. The Panthers taking that one. Not surprised at all, just with the performance Andy Dalton put up. Very, very surprised at the fact that the Panthers can bounce back and put something together after going through and just doing a quarterback change. However, not necessarily. We're also playing the Raiders there. So they're just as lost as half the people on the strip. Dolphins, Seahawks, not surprised. End of the day, we still have Tua over there, not healthy. And that is kind of giving off Miami vibes. Everyone's just hanging around trying to figure out what's going on. But, at the end of the day, they're still there. They're still there to party. They'll find something eventually. They just got to see what's going to stick. It's just going to be mustard, bologna, throwing it at the ceiling, see what's going to stick,
That's never going to be a saying. That's never going to be a saying.
Got some Ravens, Cowboys. I will say I'm going to be interested in the Cowboys this coming week. We are seeing them against the Giants. So that is always a kind of historic fight that we can see.
Cowboys and under.
Doesn't matter how bad either team is. Somehow it's tooth and nail. We'll get there, though. And I'm just going to continue to go through the things that nobody's really surprised on. Rams, 49ers, kind of similar to the Cowboys and the Giants. They always kind of go through and have it's a good fight. They see each other a lot.
The Rams
and McCaffrey, I don't know if you guys saw it. McCaffrey's over in Germany getting seen by a specialist for his calf or his Achilles. So
Madden curse.
Yeah,
Madden curse hit him hard this year.
Very concerning because I believe, did Debo get hurt as well, or is he back?
Debo was out. Ayuk was out, I believe, because Jawan Jennings had a game, and then it got spoiled because I don't know what that was, but they didn't want to play defense, didn't want to play offense, and just let the Rams back in.
Yeah, that was a wild one.
So, yeah, I mean, a lot going on there for Christian McCaffrey. Honestly, kind of bummed my girlfriend. I told her to draft him first in fantasy, and I continue to not.
Everyone did
that one.
Hey, do you know a good thing, though?
Yeah, I
know. She's a Florida State fan, so that's not the most disappointing thing for her this football season. So, McCaffrey's out for the year, but DJU is still your quarterback, so she's always got something to look down to.
This is true, but we need to pump the brakes there. We're not into college yet. The reason I say we need to pump the brakes is I do believe last I turned off the game and last I checked, Florida State won. So before we leave this, we're going to need you to put a little bit of respect on that name.
No.
Zero respect. We're not counting them out. You, buddy, be careful. We still got to go through the bracket predictions. They could have snuck their way into one of these. So we will see. Going through there, we have the Chiefs Falcons. Nobody's surprised there. The Chiefs doing cheap things, and they will figure out a way to win a bad game. And then we know the Jags, the Bills. We were hoping that there was a halftime firing. Apparently, that was on some fake news that I read this morning when I woke up having my coffee. And
I will say to that, though, I did see, not on a fake news site, Belichick is the front runner for the Jags spot if that opens up.
Okay.
I don't think Kim comes back to the NFL. You think
I don't
so?
know.
I don't think so either.
I think he will. It's just it needs to be the right fit. I was big on Dion to Dallas. Everyone thinks it's Bill Belichick to Dallas, but the Jags, I mean, that owner will take names, and
I don't think he has it in him to rebuild.
If Bill is the coach in Jacksonville, then how are him and Mark Davis going to go on double dates with their 24-year-old girlfriends? That's what
they'll find a way.
That's what I really need to know.
Let's start one of those. What are those like sign up website things? And let's just start signing that thing and getting that going around for Nick Saban to go to the Jags.
Nick Saban does not want to go to the NFL.
Nick Saban is
in the NFL.
I think Nick Saban's consent on college football game day. I think he's good with that right now.
Yeah,
he didn't like to deal with the NIL.
No,
and his time in Miami was no bueno. So.
Yeah, no, I would agree. Hey, he did have some time at the Browns, though.
He also had time at Michigan State, and people forget that.
I'll never forget that.
Sometimes there's forgettable universities out there. So on to things that were not forgettable last night. Obviously, just ending it here, the Commanders and the Bengals. Pretty good shootout performance, but the Bengals still just can't get it done. So we will not forget about them because we like to have a bottom feeder in every division. And sometimes you're just happy to see when it's the pretty boy. So I like Joe, but I like it even better that we know that the Browns are not last. So we'll take our victories when we can.
For
So
now.
going into week 4, I will say interested into the Cowboys Giants. I don't know what else or what you guys are kind of looking into. I will say there's a whole lot of games that it's the NFL, so you can't predict everything, but there's a lot of games that I feel like we could easily look at. I will say Bucks Eagles has the potential to be a pretty good game. It just really depends on what Buccaneers are going to show up. And,
Buccaneers
you know,
bounce back. Buccaneers at home.
Yeah.
They'll
Yeah.
cover the 2.5. They'll win outright.
Saints Falcons, obviously, not super glamorous, but I think, again, two teams that have surprised us early in the season and could contend with the Bucks to win that division. I think that one could be a good one too. And then Vikes Packers. Jordan Love's back too, isn't he?
He was questionable and he was warming up last week. I think he'll be back because it's divisional. You want to talk about another trend? If you want to gamble on Matt LaFleur in the first 3 weeks. He's the most profitable coach against the spread.
All right. Any other gambling tips? We might have to have a whole section at the end where you just give people gambling tips. I don't know if that's allowed on Apple Podcasts.
I can get there through. Don't blindly follow. I like the Packers in this one. It's a good game between the two. If Love plays, I like it more as long as he's healthy. But because then you can look at the other side of, the MRI came back negative, but there's still going to be lingering issues with Sam Darnold's knee.
Yeah.
So can I ask you a question on this game?
Yeah.
So going through and kind of looking at the gambling side of things, right? We saw what the Vikings were able to do last week with the defense there. What are we thinking on a 43.5 over?
I like the under. It's a divisional game. It's a divisional game, and I think Packers have a decent defense. It's tough to tell last week because they played the inept Titans.
Mm-hmm.
But they contained the Colts offense to 10 points. The Eagles went and did 34, but that was a shootout at a bad field. That was a slip and slide. Don't play football on a soccer field. Let's stop that. But I would go under. Vikings have a good defense. I don't know if their offense was powerful, but they know each other. So, and these two teams hate each other. So, it's going to be, Jair Alexander against Justin Jefferson all day. That's going to be a matchup to watch. And I don't know. Yeah, the 49ers looked bad against the Vikings in week 2, but then the 49ers looked bad against the Rams defensively at the end. So it's one of those, it's still early in the season to which team is which, because you can look at, like, talking about the Saints, who did they play? And then they go and play the Eagles and they just look bad. They look like the best team in the league. So is it just, did they play the Cowboys, who everyone thought was good, but then they're not looking so good? So are the 49ers just not that good this year? So are the Vikings for real is still kind of a question. I think so, but I also think the Packers can pull this one off at home.
Yeah, I also, and this is just for pure entertainment value, I like Commanders Cardinals. I don't know what the over is, but hammer the over.
50 and a half.
Send it.
50 and a half, 2 college offenses.
Give me the shootout.
It will be.
You think so?
I think so.
Yeah.
The downfall would be that stat that I kind of put, or the, not stat, but possible trend I pointed out earlier of, are the Cardinals just going to get ran all over?
Yeah.
But I also think that they're just going to let Jade Daniels go down and do that because let's justify the pick kind of deal. And I don't know who they have. Jamar Chase had a good game the other night. So I would say that Marvin Harrison's probably going to have a phenomenal game too.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd like to see him bounce back. I know he's kind of terrible week 1, great week 2, and then kind of back down to earth week 3. So
Jamar Chase went 6 receptions, 118 yards, 2 touchdowns. I can see something similar with Marvin Harrison Jr.
Before we let Derek kick us down the road, Chase Daniel was on, I think it was ESPN this week maybe, and proposed a trade, and I wanted to get your guys' thoughts. I know I said it in the group chat. I think it could be interesting. The trade is Dolphins get Matthew Stafford from the Rams. The Rams get Bryce Young from the Carolina Panthers, and then the Carolina Panthers get a second and third pick. I don't know if Bryce Young is worth a second or a third round pick right now, but curious to your thoughts. I think purely from an entertainment value, I wouldn't hate to see that Matt Stafford, Mike McDaniel, Panthers get a reset, and then see if Sean McVay can, resurrect Bryce Young, even though he's only like 22 years old.
I like it, but won't happen.
Oh no, it's not going to happen. But
I mean,
I've seen more unrealistic.
I don't think they're going to look at the Rams. I don't think the Rams do it. They're looking at the fact of, I mean, one, a 2 and a 4 for Bryce Young. I don't think that Carolina will take, not for what they gave up to get Bryce Young. And then, I mean, I didn't see that trade, but what does Miami give up?
I
Is
think
it Miami's 2 and 4 going to Carolina?
No, I think Miami gives up the second, and the Rams give up the 4 essentially. So the Panthers give up Bryce Young, and then are the facilitator of the 3-way trade essentially. So they get picks for both. Playing
Madden? I mean, that doesn't make any sense.
Hey, ask Chase Daniel. I didn't make this up. Chase Daniel made it up.
No, I mean, I don't know. I would like to see it because, one, I think Matthew Stafford with those weapons would look good, and I think Bryce Young with an actual coach would look good. But would it happen? No. Hypothetically, yeah, go for it. That's a fun fantasy Madden trade. I'm sure a lot of people would want to do it on Madden. I don't even know the last time the NFL had a 3-team trade. So that's the other thing.
Yeah. So I will say, I know we have a pretty large segment, so I'm going to open it up to you guys rather than continuing down my list here that I have. Is there anything else for week 4 that you guys wanted to cover and or look at? Because I know that we have college football brackets to kind of go through, as well as a little bit of info just on a pretty good week for Michigan fans, an even better week probably there for Texas fans, as well as the Texas future. But any NFL games that you guys had that you wanted to look at? I know the only one that I had, and it's just going to be a small comment, similar comment that we made last week, but we have Ravens Bills. I know last week we said Ravens. It was a must-win week. I think kind of looking at playoffs, looking at some of the quality wins as well as team confidence, I think that this needs to be competitive. If not, the Raven needs to take this.
You got to string a couple together. They got to take it. You have to string a couple together. Yeah.
Ravens at home, and the current forecast look ahead is rain. So I like that for a whole lot of running.
Yeah.
Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson, and James Cook, and Josh Allen.
No other games I'm watching. What I'm watching for is my original episode 1, or actually it was the pre-episode hot take for Ladd McConkey and A.D. Mitchell as rookies. I didn't really factor in the fact that A.D. Mitchell had Anthony Richardson throwing whatever he throws to him. And then obviously the Jim Harbaugh effect in L.A., obviously running the ball a lot more than they have in the past. So I'll be looking for my original hot take picks to start stepping it up as rookie wide receivers. So I'll be watching for that the rest of the season.
That's fair. I will say, I don't know. It'll be tough, but I mean, it's a long projected hot take. So we got some time. All right. So kind of just kicking it over. I guess we can kind of do a little bit of a rundown here before we go on over into some of the brackets and what we have. So Michigan, I guess there's a whole lot of questions on this. I don't know how your guys' thoughts and opinions are. We all know how Florida State was treated last year. New quarterback, different team, right? Going into the playoffs. We saw that. Well, welcome to Michigan. New quarterback, different team.
Yeah.
This team's 1-0.
I don't have many thoughts on that. I have thoughts on another podcast. I don't know if it's...
I know, the Carter Cast.
I don't know if it's, bad juju to talk shit about. But actually, the other podcast, Carter Cast, good podcast. But there's one gentleman in particular on there. His name is Dylan Wilkerson.
Okay, well, we can just call him Dylan.
Dylan. Oh, I mean, he's on Twitter. He has... It is what it is. He's on the show. It is... But this guy just comes on and says wild things. So before the Texas game, he said, well, if Michigan can score more than 10 points, they win the game because Texas can't score 10 points against Michigan. Like, okay, we clearly saw that. And then he comes out and he says, is Sharon Moore the smartest coach on the planet? And so naturally I'm like, okay, I'm gonna click on this and watch it. He's like, well, we all saw what happened to Florida State last year, and they didn't get into the playoff because of their quarterback. But what if Sharon Moore is just a genius? So he started his garbage quarterback the first couple games, and then he actually started a good quarterback, and they're a completely different team. And then he just throw out those early season games because they have a new quarterback, which is ridiculous. And then he came out and threw for 32 yards. So like, shout out to Michigan for winning. My dad and brother were there. Go Nick and Pops. But I know there were a lot of comments on that guy's post saying that podcasting equipment should be more expensive. And I'm sure people watch us and think that podcasting equipment should be more expensive than I can afford. But
Joke's on them. We have a sponsor.
It's not a crazy take because Michigan did it a couple years ago with Cade McNamara and JJ McCarthy. They had Cade start the first couple games to justify because he went on the Big Ten run the first time they won. And then they're like, we like JJ Moore. He's the better quarterback. We'll start Cade the first 2 games, have JJ start the next 2, and then we'll figure out the starter. And everyone saw that JJ was better.
yeah, but they didn't suck
I think
with
Alex
McNamara.
Huh?
They didn't suck with McNamara.
No, but he sucked.
I mean, that's
when they
fair.
started with him.
Yeah. I just think, I don't know. I know it's obviously for clicks. That's what we all do things on the internet for, is for clicks. But yeah, my thought here, right, is like, you're not going to get a worse quarterback performance than they've had so far. And so, like, what's the harm in going to Jaden Davis at this point? I believe he's a freshman or redshirt freshman. He's a fairly highly recruited quarterback. What's the harm in going to that? Is he going to throw for less than 32 yards? Because I don't think he is.
Sharon Moore's job. That's the risk.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's also Michigan knows this year it was going to be, I mean, when they never got a quarterback, whether in the portal or out of recruiting high school, I think they knew this year was going to be a tough one. I mean, you lose that many players to the NFL starters, and they set the record for the most players drafted from a single school. You're gonna have a rough turnover.
Yeah,
rate.
but that's what I'm saying.
The thing is they're still gonna be. They threw for 32 yards and still won a Big Ten game. I mean, it's like what they did to Penn State last year. We're gonna run the ball, and you're gonna try to stop it. And when you don't stop it, we'll win the game. And USC came out at halftime a lot better, but at the end of the day, they just got outmanned by Michigan.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying is like, why don't you give Jaden Davis a chance, right? He's a true freshman. He was rated, ESPN had him ranked as the 4th best quarterback in this class. 247 Sports had him ranked as the 9th best quarterback in this class. Like, unless he turns the ball over like crazy.
Maybe it could just end up being a morale thing.
I mean,
get the redshirt gear out of
I don't know if it's
have them watch, and then just have it go to it. They're 3-1.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's working. The one game they lost, they lost to the best team in the country. So is that really? Yeah, I mean, Texas. I can't wait for this SEC schedule this year. Like Bama, Tennessee, Texas, Georgia.
Oh, yeah. It's gonna be great.
I mean, this weekend you got Bama and Georgia, but I think it could just be, let's not have the freshmen go out there and look bad, get shit on social media. And then next thing you know, you lost them for the future. I mean, go out this year, they still win 9 or 10 games. And people just look to next year as let's hope he's the solution. I think it is, yeah. Moore's job is on the line, even though it's not.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't think
it is. He doesn't even have
to put in a freshman.
He doesn't even have a contract yet, and I didn't know that until the
he signed it.
He did sign it? Okay.
Yep.
I was gonna say, I know, like at the Texas game, he still don't have a contract. I was like, well,
I think it was signed before. I think
Okay.
it was signed the night before because they made a big deal about it.
Gotcha.
Him not having an official contract,
Yeah.
which is just
In a
Michigan
legacy
talk
game-
for. We haven't figured out how much we're going to pay you.
yeah.
In a legacy program, and a new coach like him that's never been a head coach anywhere else, and you look at a program like Michigan and the stature that they have, it takes gall to put in a true freshman. To be able to go to the athletic director and to be able to go through and look at your staff as well as your boosters and say, hey, here's what I'm doing, right? And I mean, if it's not going to work, it takes gall. And I don't think he has that confidence. I don't think he has that backing. I think he has to play his cards safe because that's his job.
Yeah, I
don't
just think
he hasn't earned it yet.
yeah, I just think
Right.
you don't.
I mean, I think he's within his right to keep a freshman out.
Yeah, I just think you don't want to get into week 8, week 9, and still not know what's going on. Because I can tell you, if you roll I don't even remember if the game is in Columbus or at Michigan this year, but if you roll
Columbus.
into Columbus, Ohio, and throw for 20 yards and lose by 30 points, that's way worse than having Jaden Davis struggle as a freshman. So that's my only concern is like
Why? Coach Day's done it for what, 3 years?
to the best team in the country. I mean, I guess this is the best
arguably
team in the
one
country.
year.
I don't know. You can argue this is the best Ohio State team in the last 5 years.
That's fair.
And maybe that's another thing. Don't have them go on the road in the Big Ten to get. I mean, I think it's harder to justify a bad quarterback starting next year than to justify just keep saying Orgy or Davis or whichever one it is the best quarterback we have on the roster.
That's tough.
Just play Davis Warner against Ohio State, different team.
Yeah, I mean, if they don't care, yeah.
Dude, this is terrible. But the guy behind me at the Michigan Texas game, he was a great sport, big Michigan fan, and he was talking about how great Quinn Ewers and Arch Manning are, and he's like, you know, you got this great starter, great backup, and he's like, and our starter's Davis Warren, and like all he's done is survive cancer. And I was like, well, that's a bit touchy. But then I also was like, I turned around to him and I said, well, Deadpool survived cancer too, and see what he did. So I mean, hey, he got superpowers, so maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone also, if you win a national championship, you won 3 Big Tens in a row. You lost all those players to the NFL. You lost your head coach.
Mm-hmm.
I think more people are willing to give a mulligan to this year.
Yeah.
Especially the fan base, the boosters, everything like that. Now it's next year. So maybe it is hey, why are we going to start him? We'll redshirt him. We'll have him be the starter next year. We'll roll in with this is our guy. And then that's when it starts getting hot as far as now you have to produce. We understand what happened last year was how much you lost. Go produce, which it's not like I know we said to give them respect, but it's not like they're pulling a Florida State right now. Look at Norvell's record without Travis.
Catching strays, baby. We love it.
So, I mean, it's one of those where they're still going to go 9. I still think they win 9 or 10 games. I thought the Oregon game would be a tough one, but what does Oregon know?
Yeah, and they don't have Penn State either, and so that's what I was thinking, is they're a 2 or 3 loss team, and now that they've gotten USC out of the way, you know, obviously Michigan State's much improved. It's a rivalry game, but then, yeah, Oregon and Ohio State are the big boys on the schedule. I think, yeah, probably a 9-3 team.
Yeah, I mean, you got Northwestern, Indiana. Illinois is ranked. And
Indiana's
beat
elite.
Nebraska. Oregon's at 8, but that's just because, I don't know, their offense needs to get clicking. And then, I mean, Minnesota this week, Michigan should win, even if they run the ball 60 times and throw the ball twice. Washington's another one they should win. And then Illinois, Michigan State. Yeah, that's when it gets, hopefully at that point, you can develop a quarterback who can throw the ball forward.
Yeah. So speaking of quarterbacks that don't need developed, we're just going to get it over with here. Obviously, Texas fan, love it. I don't think it's quite his time yet, but Chris, we'll give you time for Arch time. So let's hear it. Let's hear the news. Let's hear the thoughts. I know that I honestly couldn't watch it. I was at work. I work Saturdays, but let's hear the breakdown of it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, right, when he came in 2 weeks ago, it was like direct shot of heroin into everybody's arm. Don't know if we can talk about drugs on the internet, but
I truthfully think that might be one of the biggest personal opinions that you've made. I don't know if everybody felt that way.
But he came back this week and came back down to earth a little bit, which I think was good for everybody. So
first play, rude awakening.
We got better expectations. We also, it probably takes a little pressure off of the starting him over Ewers situation. You know, he had 2 touchdowns, 2 picks, had good plays, had bad plays. Couple interesting things that I noted about him. is his average yards per attempt is over twice what Quinn Ewers is averaging, and 25% of his passes, I believe, were over 20 yards on field, something like that. But essentially, he's missing some of the checkdowns. He's holding onto the ball a little longer, and that's what we saw. Got a couple of sacks, so the game's still a little fast for him, rightfully so. He came from a lower division in Louisiana, didn't play a crazy amount of competition, and so obviously this is going to be a lot faster. And so I think that was the biggest thing for me, was the game was a little bit fast for him, but you saw the raw talent, right? You saw the athleticism. He had a couple of really good deep balls, one to Ryan Wingo, one to Isaiah Bond, controlled the game, but yeah, had those rookie mistakes. Now's the time to have them. Through 7 quarters of him playing, I feel just as good as I did before, maybe even better than I did coming into the season about how good he's going to be. But yeah, I think we came back down to earth. We realized Quinn's the guy, and we appreciate Quinn a lot more, just how incredible his decision-making is, how quickly he gets the ball out. His pocket movement this year has been next level. It's an embarrassment of riches, right? I feel, we had no quarterbacks for 12 years, besides a couple years of Sam Ehlinger since Colt McCoy. And so, to have this stable of quarterbacks, I feel really good about the present and future of Texas football. And yeah, not too much else to say. It was an up and down game overall. I think he played well, and we'll continue to see him grow. And I feel really good about this team if Ewers goes down again, or next year when Arch starts. Was great.
So based on your quick stats there, and looking at the risks that he's willing to take downfield, question: is he a gunslinger, or is he under scouted to the point where teams just don't respect that he's going to throw it deep because they're going to anticipate he's doing the check down?
No, I just think it's a maturity thing, right? Because we saw Quinn do the same thing. Quinn threw a lot of deep balls his first 2 years and missed a lot of deep balls his first 2 years. And so I think it's more just learning the offense, right? Because in Sark's offense, it's not acceptable to take sacks. And so that's what Quinn has learned. He doesn't take sacks anymore. He gets the ball out quick, gets it to his running backs, gets it to his receivers in space, and lets them go to work. And so, yeah, he averaged 14.8 yards per attempt through the air. And then over a quarter of his passes on Saturday were more than 20 yards in the air. So I think it's just a matter of learning to take what the defense gives you, and he'll be fine. I think it's just a natural thing to want to do when you have that talent, when you have the receivers. And it's not like they weren't open, but there were just higher percentage throws to be made. So, yeah.
Is he worth the hype, Mike?
Arch Manning? Yeah.
Ooh, there we go, Mike. That's what I like to hear.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's going to be Texas is going to go from one Heisman hopeful to a Heisman winner.
So what we're calling them is possibly a pipeline, kind of like what Oklahoma did for a couple years there.
Don't talk about them.
Yeah, Quinn.
Well, we're going to talk about them because next, probably the most explosive game coming this week is going to be Tennessee and Oklahoma.
It already happened.
The one that already happened.
What do you mean? Why is it on here? Why is it happening?
Remember, you guys.
Yeah,
this little kid, man.
No, they already played, and Jackson.
Tennessee won.
You
And
better cut that out.
Jackson
Spoiler
Arnold. No, we're not cutting it out. This is a live show.
I'm gonna need better updated notes. Who's our note guy? We got to work on this.
Relax. It's not in my contract. Yeah, Jackson Arnold got benched.
We'll rewrite it.
And I can't think of the quarterback's name. Sorry, you have to give me a second. But Brent Venables did announce that Jackson Arnold will not be starting this week. So they have officially switched off of 5-star quarterback Jackson Arnold.
Love that.
What did you guys think of that game? I didn't get to watch all of it. I watched a bit of the first half and a little bit in the fourth quarter, but missed kind of that middle portion.
I was not able to watch it. I was at work.
Michael Hawkins Jr., a true freshman, is the new starting quarterback.
I would say that I was on Tennessee first half and they covered, because that's a heck of a trend as well. But I don't think Oklahoma is ready for that. It just is what it is. They're not a bad team. It's just they're not to that level yet.
No, and their defense is incredible.
No one expected to be at. And that's the toughest part about we were going to do these brackets, the SEC is pretty tough to pick.
Yeah.
Because you got
Texas.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5
Texas.
good teams that can win it.
Yeah, they could realistically put 6 in the playoffs. I don't think
Who's
they
your 6?
will, but they could.
Who's your 6? Are you giving it to Oklahoma?
No, I got Georgia, Texas, Alabama, Mississippi, Tennessee, possibly Missouri. I don't like Missouri, and I said I think they're overrated. But
No, they won't go.
the thing is, out of those 6 schools, they have the easiest schedule in the entire SEC, even easier than Texas is, and Texas got a gift in their first season in the conference. So that's the only reason I'm on Mizzou, is just because of how easy their schedule is comparatively to the rest of the SEC. So, yeah, that's all I have on them. And I think, go back on the Oklahoma one, and I mentioned this, I think, at least one, if not 2 of our shows so far, is Jackson Arnold is talented, but you weren't, I don't know, he wasn't making plays, right? He was taking the easy, the short throws, which was great. They were being efficient. He had a high completion percentage. But, you saw like the first game, he had 4 touchdowns, like, whoa, but then you see he only had 141 yards passing, was averaging, like less than 5 yards of completion, or sorry, not per completion, but he was averaging essentially 5 yards per attempt. And so you saw some writing on the wall that he needed to improve and be more of a playmaker and push the ball a little bit instead of just, hitting those easy ones to maybe Deion Burks and letting Deion Burks and that wide receiver crew do the work. And so I think we didn't see him do that against Tennessee. He threw a pick on an easy comeback route, had 2 fumbles, and we just kind of saw the things that we thought and hoped he would get better at in his first year as a starter. But it just didn't happen this week, and he's young, so he'll improve, but just didn't happen this week, and that's what I was looking for in that game if they were going to stand a chance.
I would honestly say I'm not surprised. I remember this now. Actually, we did talk about this last week, and it was a big question of whether Tennessee would get slowed down or whether they'd continue to go. But I do remember we talked about Tennessee beats bad teams big. So I'm not surprised by the slim margin of victory, but I am surprised that Oklahoma did lose that game. So hopefully they're going to go back through and rebuild on that. What are you looking at me for?
Who's looking at who?
All right, going through, I will say, kind of going through and looking at week 5. I'm not going to cover NIU there because I want to cover that when we cover brackets. But going through and looking at week 5 matchups, is there anything out there that you guys, I know we've already mentioned, we have Georgia, Bama coming up. We have Illinois, Penn State coming up, which is going to be a good Big Ten matchup. Honestly, I think that the Oklahoma State, Kansas State game is going to be a lot better than what we're probably thinking. As well as Louisville, Notre Dame. Notre Dame, we've seen win games. We've seen them drop games. We don't know what team we're going to get there. So which ones are you guys, I guess, kind of looking out for?
Well,
I would say my biggest ones. Yeah, go ahead.
We can't talk about Kansas State without talking about Saint Bill Snyder on Twitter, who famously tweeted that if BYU won, he would shove a beefy 5-layer burrito up his ass. And if you didn't see, BYU definitely saw that, and they tweeted Liv Moss with some photos after the game. So that was a great one. St. Bill Schneider, you're on the clock to shove a beefy 5-layer burrito into your sphincter.
He's aware of that, and he started on his socials a countdown, but I do believe it's supposed to be either a week from yesterday and or today. But he has sent a picture out with the Taco Bell bag over his head, glasses on, like the stereotypical ashamed sports fan, and the burrito sitting on the table. So I don't know if this is a live feed. I don't know how this is going, but it is out there.
If he live streams it, we have to live stream him live streaming it. Just for the.
If he does that, I
we'll
won't
figure it out.
do that. So you let me know how that experience goes, and we'll run a weekly recap on it.
As far as this week,
I've gone deep into your search history prior, and it's up your alley, not mine, and I have child blockers on for that. So
come on, my mom's on. My mom listens to this show. Don't talk about my search history.
All right, so let's go back.
That'll
to
be
this
one
week.
of the 4. Yeah, so going through and looking at our this week matchup there. I know, Mike, you mentioned Georgia, Bama.
That's the best one. I mean,
it's obviously the best.
That's the only. I mean, to me, that's the biggest one to look at. I think Michigan State is not going to fare well against Ohio State. Yes, it's at Spartan Stadium, but that one's going to be tough. Texas is going to handle Mississippi State. Duke, North Carolina will be good, but you saw what the Dukes, James Madison did in North Carolina.
Hung up a 70 spot on him. That was crazy.
Yeah, I mean, looking around, other than that, the one I am actually really intrigued on, and this gets into the brackets a little bit, Fresno State and UNLV. That means a lot.
Yes.
In the Mountain West, out in Vegas, if UNLV can pull this off, they will have a golden opportunity to represent the group of 5.
Yeah, that one's going to be interesting. And again, I think this is kind of previewing where we're going to go. The interesting thing for me is the 5th automatic bid is going to be the highest rated group of 5 champion. But both polls only have one group of 5 team even ranked. So if you look at the AP poll, I need to pull it up, but I believe they have UNLV ranked. And then if you look at the coaches poll,
UNLV is not ranked.
If the
I think it's Boise.
But it's different. The coaches poll has Boise ranked 25. The AP poll does have a group of 5 team ranked 23rd or 24th, I believe, but it's not Boise State. So that's the interesting thing to me. And that's why I think the 5 seed might be the best slot to be in.
AP has Boise. You're right. The American Football Coaches Association, didn't know that, had a poll, has UNLV at 23.
Yep. And that's the actual D1 coaches.
The one that they go off of, though, is going to be, we haven't had it yet, but the big one that you can go off of is the FPI, the Football Power Index. That's where they look at like what the strength of victory, stuff like that. And that one, I believe, doesn't have any group of 5 in the top 25.
Yeah, and that's why
at it now.
And I want to finish talking about week 5 before we get into the college football playoff. But that's what, again, I think might be the 5 seed might be the best seed in this entire tournament, because you're probably actually the 2nd or 3rd best team in the country, because it's going to be
home game.
You get a home game against a team that probably is barely a top 20 team, and they're, again, a group of 5 team, and they get to come to your house and you probably slaughter them, and then you essentially had a warm-up scrimmage to go play the rest of the college football playoff. So not that it's impossible for a 12 seed to win, but I almost like that 5 seed better than winning the conference championship at this point. Obviously, if you lose the conference championship, you can't guarantee you're going to be the 5 seed. You could get this 6, 7, whatever. But the 5 is an interesting one. So yeah, we can finish up. I think you mentioned most of the games I'm looking forward to see. Louisville, Notre Dame's obviously going to be a lot of implications there on if Louisville can potentially be a college football playoff team, or if Notre Dame can. And I see Louisville taking that. Even if Notre Dame wins, I don't feel good enough to put them back into my college football playoff picture. They came out and beat Purdue 66-7, but then came and struggled against another MAC school this week. They won, but I don't have any confidence in Notre Dame's ability to string things together right now.
So switching gears into that, but I know a game that we haven't mentioned yet is another Big Ten matchup. How confident are we that USC can play Big Ten ball? They have Wisconsin coming this week. Obviously, an unranked Wisconsin team, but still 2-1.
They'll do well against Wisconsin.
Yeah, I think they're fine. They're not gonna win the Big Ten, but I think they're still fine. They're gonna go 8-4 or whatever, 9-3. They're still a good team.
I mean, I want to look at Wisconsin's only lost this year. Yes, that was 32 points, but I mean, it was Alabama.
Yeah.
So I just don't know if this Wisconsin team's been tested. And I say that in the fact that I think that we could be surprised again this week. I was very surprised last week with coming home from work and tuning in the 4th and watching Michigan end up upsetting USC there. So I would say that's a game to watch this week. I'm excited for it. I'm definitely going to try and tune in for that one, but I don't know. I haven't been impressed by USC yet this year. So USC, I could be alone, but
I don't know. USC has Wisconsin and then Minnesota I think they'll do well, those two. Penn State will be a good one.
Best thing here for USC in this coming week, and I haven't looked ahead to Minnesota, but they're not traveling. So they're not coming cross country. They're not going to the furthest time zone there. But obviously we know it's a little bit different, especially this early in the year for some of these new teams into the Big Ten. But I don't know. I'm going to call that for a game to watch this week, just to see. Wisconsin's historically a pretty good football team.
Yeah, so I think Penn State, Illinois is going to be a good one too. Another Big Ten game. Again, I said this.
James Franklin covers.
I said this last week, I believe. I think Big Ten might be the deepest conference in the country right now. If you give me the top 5 matchups, Big Ten versus SEC, I'm taking the SEC probably 4 out of those 5. But if you go top to bottom 1 to 16, I think the Big Ten might, take 9 or 10 of those. So incredibly deep conference, and I'm going to keep saying it every week until he puts 3-4 big weeks in a row. It's all going to be whether Drew Aller can put it together, and whether James Franklin can figure out if he wants to go 8-4 or if he wants to win a damn national championship. So Illinois is good. I really like Luke Altmaier. He obviously dueled with Dylan Raiola last week, who is my second favorite Heisman candidate for next season. So yeah, that'll be a good one. Can Drew Aller get after it? And we'll see just how deep the Big Ten is and how good Penn State is.
Have you seen a photo of Dylan's?
Yeah, he looks like
brother?
Mahomes' brother. Dude, this is weird, man.
So at what point are we going to possibly blood test Patrick's father to see if maybe during his professional baseball career that he maybe been city a little bit more than 3 games a year?
They were both in Detroit.
Man.
Right. Dylan's dad.
Oh, yeah,
Raiola
that's true.
Was the center, and I'm pretty sure Mahomes' dad pitched for the Tigers.
Can we start a coffee and
he
cups?
Was pitching for other people too. Anyway, don't want to get into conspiracies here, but all I'm is 23andMe might have a little bit of a story to tell.
We go fund me a 23andMe kit?
I will say I have seen Dylan Raiola when he was younger. He didn't look like that, so I think it's just he looks similar, and that's hey, he's the greatest quarterback currently playing, so why not look like him? I think you'll see a lot more kids try to emulate that and look that. I mean, it's a lot like when we were younger. Everyone tried to copy what Tom Brady did, the running at the end of the end zone and throwing your hand up.
You kind of look like Tom Brady's draft photo, though. I could see that.
Talking about Mike?
Probably all 3 of us, to be honest with you. We could,
I guess, yeah, we could.
Oh, you're talking like, I was going to say, I have facial hair.
No, the shirtless photo at the combine. Yeah.
Well, I think we get into the meat of the college football. I know we've talked about this coming week. I know there's a lot that we could continue to deep dive, especially with the depth and complexity of college football. But we can honestly probably kind of go top to bottom. I don't mind. I can start, I guess, going through it. Do you guys just want to go off of seeds? I think that would be the easiest.
Yeah, I think we tier it. So I think, we'll go like who are our conference champions? So who are the first 4 in? Who's group of 5, and then who do we have at large? Or we can do it a different way.
Yeah, I'll have to. Let's see. Currently, I have 23 teams that I got to narrow down to 12.
Well, I can kind of roll with it. I don't know if I'm going to, I guess I could do champions. I think I should.
I can go with conference champions first.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's do that.
So I guess let's just go through. We'll have the ACC. I'll just go down the Power 4, not in seeding order.
Okay.
But if we were to go to the ACC, I have between 5 teams that I think could win it. I have, of those 5 teams, it's Louisville, Miami, Clemson. Florida State still has an off chance, very off chance, and Boston College.
Relax.
As much as I would like to see Boston College, it's going to be Miami.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I got Miami there. Going to the Big Ten, the B1G, Ohio State. I have Ohio State, Michigan, Oregon, Penn State, and I throw Iowa in there because there's a shot, because there's always a shot with them, but they would get smoked in the Big Ten championship unless everyone at Ohio State got hurt. I don't think Oregon is who at the beginning of the year I thought it'd be Oregon. I'm not gonna lie, but Ohio State has the best team in the conference. They definitely went out to make sure they were going to beat Michigan this year. Big 12 is a big one. I only have two teams, Utah or BYU, and I think it would be the Utes. I just think they have the more complete team and the more experienced team. I mean, their quarterback is, I think, older than Sam Darnold. And then in the SEC, that's the toughest one of who's going to win that. I mean, you got Tennessee. I only have Tennessee, Georgia, Texas, Ole Miss, Bama as a possibility. I think Georgia is still, until proven otherwise, they're still the top team. But through just them playing each other, I can easily see it being a way of where Georgia doesn't even get into the conference championship. I could see it being Texas and Bama.
And it's best on best now, too. There's no divisions this year, so it's just top two.
And that's a big one. And I actually think that benefits the third place team to get in, because you're not going to get Iowa representing the Big Ten West when everyone knows there was three teams that should have represented the Big Ten last year.
Yeah.
One of those things. So I would say
I'm a little concerned with Georgia, Kentucky. That's out of sight, out of mind now, right? We're not saying that you think that they're going to have that longevity. I mean,
no, because that's the same as Bama always did that. I mean, I would like to say it's Texas.
I mean, we're going to know in a hurry. They got Georgia's at Bama this week, so we're going to know in a hurry.
I think Georgia beats Bama.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest one, that the question I have is Georgia. It's that Georgia Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Georgia can drop Ole Miss on the road, can drop Tennessee at home. But at the same time, I mean, you can say once Texas gets into how hurt is Quinn Ewers, they're going to go Oklahoma into Georgia. That's tough. You go from a rivalry game, which doesn't matter.
That's my concern.
You go rivalry into Georgia. If they beat Georgia, Texas has a clear shot at making it to the conference championship. I mean, after that, Vandy, Florida, Arkansas, Kentucky, Texas A&M. They're running the table. But Oklahoma scares me. And Georgia, because Oklahoma's a rivalry, and then immediately that fall after.
And there's one thing I hate more than anything, and this is what happened last year, is Texas going into Red River thinking, on a hot streak, feeling like one of the best teams in the country, and having questions about Oklahoma. That's my worst case scenario. And so
if Texas drops Oklahoma, they'll drop Georgia.
See, I think
I think Georgia is the shark where when they see blood on the water, they'll go.
Yeah.
I think they're to the point now where they're like, it doesn't matter. We're making it to the playoffs.
Yeah.
This is just, they're like the Kansas City Chiefs of college football.
Yeah.
Regular season doesn't matter now. Regular season doesn't matter. We're getting in. We just got to win the games.
Yeah.
And I mean, the Kentucky, they won the game. So,
yeah.
I mean, when push came to shove, they found a way to win that game.
For me, so my conference champions, I have my 1 seed as Ohio State because I think they can run the table. I have my 2 seed being Georgia because I think whoever wins the SEC is going to have a loss, and Ohio State probably won't have a loss coming out of the Big Ten. 3 seed, I have Utah coming unscathed from the Big 12. 4 seed, I have Miami. Clemson has given me some doubts about if Miami's the best team after last week, but I think realistically, Miami is still the best team. My big thing with the SEC, I think Texas beats Georgia at home, and they beat Oklahoma, but I think Georgia gets revenge because I think they play each other in the conference championship. One thing that I'm really intrigued by, though, it's a website called College Football Insiders, and essentially they do all the advanced statistics, BS, whatever, and you can run simulations of games, and right now, if Texas is the home team, if Georgia as the home team, they have Texas as a 55% chance to win with a 1.76 average margin of victory. And Texas as the home team, they have a 64% chance to win with a 4.76 average spread. So analytics are what they are, and they're not always accurate, obviously, especially this early in the season with a small sample size. But the analytics community loves Texas right now. And so we'll see what happens there. But yeah, those are my 4 conference champions getting in.
I mean, I think the analytics love Texas right now because they have the best win. And the more
Yeah.
Michigan wins, the more that win looks great for them.
Absolutely.
On the road in Ann Arbor, defending national champions, you beat them. So far, that's the top win.
Yep.
Now, let's see what happens this week with Georgia and Bama. If Bama beats Georgia, I think Bama now has the best win.
Yep.
So it's just one of those. Yeah. I mean, that's the luxury of college football. And I think that's the nice part about this 12 team, because you're going to get 4 from the SEC. You might get 3 from the Big Ten.
Mm-hmm.
And what that would be, leave 1 extra. And I'd give it back to the SEC. Or that's where you see like Clemson and Miami get in there.
Yeah.
Depends on how they finish. Because Clemson's 1 loss is to Georgia.
Yep. It is a bad loss, but it's week 1. It's the best time to lose. And they looked damn good this weekend.
Continue to do what they did. They can sneak in with a conference championship loss.
Mm-hmm.
The hardest part about SEC is if you get into that each team beats each team thing, similar to last year, where like Tennessee beats Oklahoma, but then Oklahoma beats Texas, and then Georgia beats Bama, but Bama beats, like Texas beats Bama. Like one of those things where they just eat at each other, and then the rest of the college football committee is like, what the hell do? We just need this easy.
Yeah.
Did you do group of 5?
No, I just did the 4 conference champions.
Okay.
Derek, what do you want to hit next? Are you going?
Conference champions, and then we'll do group of 5.
You all right there, Derek?
You guys all cut out.
Oh, sorry. Audio
I heard
difficulty.
Mike saying group of 5, and then you froze Chris with your mouth open and said no. So conference championships, heavily reliant right now on Quinn coming back. I just don't know how the longevity and how long we can ride the Arch train, but I do have in the SEC, I do have Texas going through and winning that. I would just like to see it. Everyone laughed and said, "Oh, Texas thinks they're going to come in and run the SEC." So saying that they will, but I would love to see it for the 1 year, right?
It would be funny.
This year they're going to come in hot. So yeah, it would just be funny to be able to be behind Mighty in 1 year for that. I will say out of the Big Ten, I don't see Michigan beating Ohio State. I don't care what games they're going to be able to put together. This is a good team, and this is a team that's out for blood after honestly 2 somewhat disappointing seasons. So I see Ohio State going for the total longevity this season, and I could see them taking that 2 seed coming out of the Big Ten there. And I'm high on Miami. They're a fun team. They're an exciting team. I'm high on Miami coming out of the ACC there. I don't know how we see anyone close to a Florida State or anything coming back and being able to make something of this season. So I'm riding that Miami train pretty hard right now. And then the Big 12 was kind of a toss-up for me, but I did put Utah down.
If Cam Rising can stay healthy, that's the big concern. Shout out to Zach Wilson's little brother for winning the game this weekend for them. But yeah, I think Utah's gonna be heavily reliant on Cam Rising's health. Group of 5
and then at large.
Yeah, group of 5 wise, I have Boise State in. As Steve Mickness said, NIU look like world beaters, but that Tuesday night, Thursday night, Friday night action could end up with 4 losses. So
NIU, I will say this: NIU had it,
mm-hmm.
but they fumbled the bag against Buffalo. Just is what it is. They had the best group of 5 win without a doubt, because Boise dropped Oregon.
Yep.
If NIU would have ran the table, they would have been it.
Oh yeah.
They lost the very next week. They're out. No team from the MAC is getting it.
Yep, I think Ashton Genty's too good for Boise, and if they can figure out the quarterback situation and get consistent play, whether it's from Madsen or Malachi Nelson, I think, they'll be fantastic.
Sorry. So, the Ashton Gentry, that is the very reason why I think Boise can get in if they finish the Mountain West, but I don't know if they will. I actually think I would love for it to be Navy. I think Navy and Army have a possibility to do the craziest thing ever, because right now they're both sitting atop of the American Conference because Army joined the American Conference.
Mm-hmm.
They play at the end of the year, obviously, America's game, but that doesn't count as an American game because of how the agreement was made.
Mm-hmm.
So they can match. This would be great for bettors, the gambling side. Army and Navy play their game, and then the following week they can play in the American Conference Championship back-to-back unders. Just surefire. Just doesn't mean it will hit, but automatic play whenever the academies play each other.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think Navy. I mean, Navy has a very big win this past week over Memphis, because a lot of people had Memphis there.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people think Tulane's going to get out of it. I'm not big on Tulane.
They got 2 losses, man. You can't have it. If they would have pulled off against Oklahoma, that's who I had in coming into the season. But I think they have 2 losses now already, and so yeah, you can't come out of it with 2 losses.
My big thing, I actually don't think it would be the American. Liberty has a good shot, despite the fact that they don't play anyone. They would have been the group of 5 last year, and because they don't play anyone, they just have to be undefeated.
Yep.
At the end of the year.
And even then, I don't know, and that's what I was when I went through this originally. I went through and like,
it's tough.
The top 5 teams from each conference and the top 5 group of 5. They literally have the worst schedule in the country. It is 134 out of 134. Nobody plays an easier schedule than them.
If they're the only group of 5 undefeated.
No.
Boise's not undefeated.
I don't care. There's no way.
That's where I don't think it will happen. Fresno State, it's just that they have a tough loss to Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
But if they run the table, the big one, like I said, Fresno State, UNLV. If UNLV, because they play Fresno State this week, a couple of weeks they play Boise.
Yep.
If they win those, UNLV's in.
Yep, 100%.
Without a doubt. I think currently it's the Dukes of James Madison, because they went to North Carolina. Granted, it's North Carolina, but they went to North Carolina. You drop that on a Power 4 team. Right now, of those teams, Boise dropped their game against Power 4. UNLV won theirs. Granted, they played Kansas, but Kansas doesn't play a home game this year. So it was at a soccer field. And then Fresno dropped their Power 4 game. So
yeah,
I want to see UNLV, because it would be awesome for them to go in and then go jump ship to the Pac-12.
I like it.
So I will go with James Madison, though.
Professor Martin, what you got?
Sorry, had that on mute there. I don't have James Madison in there. I'm still riding NIU.
Okay.
I think it's going to be too tough.
I agree. It's going to be tough, and I mean, they're going to have to put some impressive wins together. But I can't count them out after 1 overtime loss.
Yeah, I'd say they have the worst loss of those teams, but they also have the best win of those teams. So I guess it's interesting.
We're looking at a field goal in overtime.
I mean, they might have the best win. It all depends on what Notre Dame looks like.
Yeah, Notre Dame's got to put an impressive run together, but yeah, that's a tough one. So who do you have in there, Derek?
Boise missed their golden opportunity at Oregon. If they would have finished that, it would have been.
And they had it in
run
their
the
grasp
table,
too.
you're in. Yep.
All right, Mike, what's your at-large bids looking like?
So I was hemming and hawing on how many the SEC will get, but I actually think they are going to get the most. I have Georgia winning the SEC.
Mm-hmm.
Texas, Tennessee, Ole Miss, Bama all make it. A little bit of homers, but I think they will get in. Michigan and Oregon out of the Big Ten.
Whoa.
And then Clemson.
You think Ohio State's not making the playoff at all?
No, I got Ohio State winning the Big
Oh,
Ten.
sorry. You were just talking. You got 3 from the Big Ten. My bad. I was
3 from the Big Ten, 2 from the ACC, and then Bama, Ole Miss, Tennessee, Texas, Georgia, 5 from the SEC.
Okay,
I'm on that bandwagon, and not to go in front of you, Chris, but I'm on it. Outside of NIU that we were just talking about there, I have Big Ten and SEC the whole way. Obviously, we have to go through and put the Big 12 and ACC in there, but they have one representation. I have Penn State in there.
Dog.
I was just confused. I thought it was a motion thing Chris was hitting. But
that was my stomach.
I have Penn State in there coming out to represent the Big Ten. I have Oregon in there representing the Big Ten. It's SEC from there. So Ole Miss, Alabama, Tennessee, and Mizzou. It's in Georgia, obviously, coming in, but
I don't like Mizzou, but they got that easy schedule. So yeah, mine is I have Texas. I have Texas as the number 1 at large. So they're the 5 seed playing Boise State, who's going to be the 12. If you go across to my 6 versus 11, I have Oregon and Clemson. My 7 versus 10, I have Ole Miss and Tennessee. Flip flop however you want those two. Which one you want to be 7? Which one you want to be 10? And then the 8-9 matchup, I have Alabama and Penn State. So
See, the tough thing about that, which I guess it's going to be tough to do, seedings.
you can't
The
avoid the
seedings
matchups.
don't matter.
Yeah,
As long as the proper home teams get it, because now it becomes a TV show. And
Yeah.
they're gonna want they're probably not gonna want the SEC playing each other, so they might spread that out. It just all depends on.
I don't
us
think you're gonna be
seeding
able to
them.
avoid it.
It's going to be
Just-
tough. It's
yeah.
going to be very tough. The SEC is sending the most. I think they send the most. They have to.
And that's why I
they are the
originally
conference
had
this year.
Ole Miss playing Clemson, and I actually had a second Big 12 team in. I had Kansas before last week. I had Kansas State sneaking in at the 11, but obviously it's gonna be tough
Front.
roads for them. So yeah, who do you guys? Quick note here. I know Mike's got to get out of here. What's your national championship matchup? Do you have it?
I don't have the bracket fully made, but I will go just shot in the dark, throwing at darts at a board. It's going to be Texas losing to Ohio State.
Okay, I have Texas and Ohio State on the same side of the bracket. I might have Texas and Georgia playing for a third time in the national championship. I don't know yet.
It's so tough, but it could happen.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing about the where
And
they're
it
at
could
with
happen
the-
in multiple. You could see Oregon and Ohio State play regular season conference championship and in a playoff. Yeah, I really don't know. I kind of like Ohio State versus Georgia. I'm going to slight Texas there and say Texas loses in the semifinal maybe. So, yeah, I don't know. That was a spur of the moment. I don't have mine picked yet either, but I just was curious if you guys did.
I will say I do have Texas and Bama on the opposite sides of the bracket, but also Ohio State there. I see Ohio State playing Bama and winner of that playing Texas.
And we'll put brackets together, and we'll post the three of ours on socials, and you guys can let us know who sucks, who doesn't.
Yeah, we can do that. So I guess kind of running through. I know this one's we've been running long. We've had a lot to talk about. So kind of going through. We wrapped up the total brackets there. So going through, I'm honestly going to probably brush over NHL for this week and just go right into the what are we doing. We can go through and start with NHL preseason. I know, Chris, you have a lot to talk about with that. I'll be honest, I haven't tuned into much, but we've seen some games.
Good news is I might, depending on how I'm feeling this weekend, you might see an episode 4.5, just getting us briefed on the NHL. So stay tuned.
big preseason.
I'll probably
matchup.
listen to that
Wings,
one.
Blackhawks.
Haven't listened. Ooh, where's that at?
Is it? I think it might be. Do you know, Chris?
What?
It's in Detroit. We should go.
Is it Detroit?
I have
Wings,
no idea.
The first.
We should go. It's in Detroit.
Oh no, they play back to back.
Yeah,
They play.
they
in
usually
Detroit.
do.
They do a home and home.
Yeah.
So 25th, and then 27th. So at Chicago, then at Detroit.
Let's do it.
Ooh, I would go to Detroit.
So that's tomorrow.
Um,
Anyway, continue.
However, so yeah, if you're actually, we'll continue with where we left off there. If you're going to do a 4.5, that might be the first one I'd listen to because I need to catch up on the hockey stuff. I haven't had a whole lot of time. Last year, that's where I made my money betting. So we're going to need to listen to that. However, looking at the what are we doing? So I want to make this interesting this week, but I'm going to need full agreement in participation from both of you. Going to be a competition between the two of you. Now, do you both agree to said terms prior to us starting this?
You got to tell me the terms before I agree to them.
What are they?
I need to know that whether you're fully in or not, whether you win or lose this competition.
Yeah, I'm fully in, but this is like the iTunes when it's like, you scroll through the 97 page and you I read and I
Yep.
agree. Like,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah,
sure.
so you
Yeah, I
agree?
agree.
Reading, you agree?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
The
Fantastic.
The two of you are very competitive gentlemen.
Yeah.
One of you has a little bit more of an upper hand in our fantasy league right now, and coincidentally, you play each other this week.
Ooh.
Do we?
Do. Yeah.
So, what I thought would be a little fun was I've picked some sports trivia questions,
Okay.
and we can do it a couple different ways. You can like write your answer, and or you can always put it in the chat or something like that, and give me your answer. First to 5 points wins.
Okay.
The winner gets to pick a player on the opposing team's fantasy,
Oh,
you
piss
can't play
off.
them.
Okay, so wait, where do we put our answers?
You can either do it if you guys want to do. Well, don't do the chat because you both can see it.
Yeah.
So do you have paper that you can write and then flip?
I don't have a pen, but I can type it on like Notepad.
Yeah, I can type it on my phone and then.
Can you text me separately?
Yeah, that's
we could do that.
Okay. Let's do it that way.
okay.
So, Chris, you took your first loss this last week in fantasy.
I don't want to talk
and-
about it. That's such.
And Mike is
bullshit.
undefeated.
Yeah,
So
I
this
took
is
the loss.
good. You have the potential to handicap him.
I literally lost by 0.8 points because Zach
Hey,
Moss
Zach
scored
Moss.
a garbage time touchdown from 1 yard out
Yeah.
to
Garbage
lose
times.
with 1 minute left. Anyway, I'm pissed, but go ahead.
Okay. So I know we skipped this segment a little bit, but we'll start with it if you would.
Okay.
We're gonna start with hockey.
Okay.
Okay, I'll
Does
give you
does
two- I'll
speed
give
count
you
in
two
this
with hockey.
trivia or what?
Say that again?
Does speed count? Whoever texts you first or
No, because now you're looking at standard messaging on that, right?
okay. I didn't know if there's gonna be a time frame. Anyway, continue. Go ahead.
What hockey speedster is nicknamed the Russian Rocket?
Yeah.
The Russian Rocket. Can you give us a hint of when he played?
Truthfully, no. But I'll Google it. Give it to you.
I think I know.
You should know this.
I think I should. I just keep on thinking of Maurice Rocket Richard.
I will give you a hint. It's not that.
Well, I know that because he's not Russian.
So, Chris, your hint that I can give you is this gentleman played in. He played between 87 and 2003.
Yeah, I know this one. I think.
Both answers are in. And Chris,
Oh,
or do you want me to say it? And you guys say what you had.
I went so quick on that autocorrects did not do.
You
the same
autocorrected wrong, but I know what you meant.
right.
What-
I autocorrected wrong.
What is it? What is it?
Say it, Derek.
You don't know how to say his name either, do you? It's Pavel Bure.
Oh, Pavel Bure. Damn it!
You know what my autocorrect went to?
What?
Panel.
Oh,
it
you
went
got-
so fast I didn't read it. I just
You
went
got it?
Panel Bure.
Mike.
Yeah.
Damn it! I was thinking Fedorov for some reason.
Oh, he's not a speedster.
That's fair. I didn't watch.
Might be the great. Well, no, Ovechkin's the greatest.
All right, I'm
At
done
the
1-0.
time.
That sucks. I knew
And Chris,
that.
I put these questions in there to help you too.
That's fine.
So, all right. The next one that we have, this should be a pretty easy one for the both of you. So, I mean, this one you could change and almost do speed if you wanted to. I guess you could say it. So yeah, we'll go speed. Don't text. Just
say it. Okay.
Which team won 4 Stanley Cups in a row?
Montreal Canadiens.
Montreal. Wait, no.
It's the New York Islanders.
Yes.
I was thinking orange and blue. I almost said Edmonton. Oh my God.
I was thinking too. Yeah, New York Islanders.
Wait, I was thinking early on because Canadians haven't won one in forever.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're 1-1 right
1-1.
now.
Okay.
And how many questions I say I was going to do for hockey?
You didn't.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't.
Okay, well I'll do 3,
Okay.
and then we'll switch it over.
Okay. Are we doing out loud again or what?
Yes,
Okay.
because this should be fair. He's now. This should be fair for the both.
Okay.
What year was Patrick Kane drafted?
07.
Yeah,
2-1.
Nah. Yeah, there's no way I was going to be in on that. I knew when you said it should be fair because he plays the Vault. I knew it was about Patrick Kane.
Yeah.
I was just waiting for what it was. Chris obviously.
Hey,
knows
and
it.
speaking of hockey, I know Mike was asking about my jersey earlier. This is a authentic game worn Buffalo Buttes jersey for a good friend of the podcast, Kristen Lewicki, who is formerly the fastest skater in professional women's hockey, and we're going to try to have her on the podcast at some point. So that's what I'm rocking.
Okay. We like that.
Yeah, I don't got anything cool.
All right, so
All right. So
we're,
we are 2-1 right now.
and we're moving on from hockey.
We're moving on from hockey, and I'm going to switch us over to I do want to say the NFL here, if I can find where I had these pulled to.
Are we
Fun
just going to do
fact.
speed from here on out? I think that's probably the best way to
Yeah,
do it.
speed's the best way.
If you want to do it. If
Yeah,
you wanna
let's just do
it's
it.
fine.
We just do speed.
Yeah.
Where did I lose that link to?
Insert Jeopardy music.
Yeah. Pop-ups. You're gonna have to cut some of this out. Okay. Here we go.
Okay.
All right, so we'll have 3 of the NFL.
Yeah.
Which NFL team has the most Hall of Fame inductees?
There's 2 ways I want to go with this.
It's tough because NFL, you go in, it's not like baseball where you go in as a team.
Give me the Dallas Cowboys.
Everyone. I would say the
You want me to give
Steelers.
4 answers? You want me to give you 4 answers?
No.
Okay.
Or did either of us get it?
No Cowboys, no Steelers.
Then
I
it's
will
either
give
those.
you a. Go ahead.
Give a hint.
They're in the North.
Packers. Then it's the Bears.
Yeah.
I was gonna say it's so tough because like you're looking back at the people that played,
Yeah.
started,
Yeah.
which is why I was thinking AFL NFL merger.
Okay, so we're 2-2 now.
2-2.
So you gotta win.
2-2.
We have to say you have to win 5, right? Yeah. Who's the youngest quarterback to win a Super Bowl?
Tom Brady. Nope, not Tom Brady. Tom Brady.
Mahomes,
Neither.
neither.
Shoot.
Roethlisberger.
Yes, sir.
Damn
Ran
it.
it
I knew that
Detroit.
one too. Yep. And
I had
he,
to think. You said Brady. I'm like, I know Mahomes beat him at something. I forget what's that.
yeah.
quickest.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
forgot Roethlisberger went. It was his rookie year, right?
I think it was his second. It was either
Was it
rookie
his
or
second?
second. But yeah, he came in
It
and
was
had
the
some
one in
crazy
Detroit.
run. Yeah. The bus.
Can't
The
remember
bus
if it
was
was
on
his
his way
rookie.
out.
I can't remember if it was his rookie or if it was his second year.
So, last one for the NFL.
Mhm.
Do you want to go teams-based question or individual-based question?
Doesn't matter. Just
Yeah.
give it to us.
Yeah. Whatever you want.
Are we tied
Okay.
or no?
Yeah.
I don't
2-2.
know.
Oh, no, you're
No.
up 3-2.
I'm up 3-2.
3-2, yeah.
Yeah.
Who's the first player in NFL history to throw over 5,000 yards in a season?
Drew Brees.
Drew Brees.
Dan Marino.
No. Marino.
Bang. 3-3. Woo! All right. Now,
Drew Brees did.
We
no,
will
I don't know if he did
go-
it the most.
He did it the most, but Marino was the first.
He has 2 years with 5,000.
Brees has like 3 or 4, I think.
Does he have 3? Okay.
Yeah.
so I'm going to stay with greats.
'Kay.
However, let's kick it over to when they were young in college.
All right.
Now, this is just going to be for the first question. I'm going to go into college football. So we have 3. So it's 3-3 between the 2 of you. 2 questions. Could be your answer. Who's the starting quarterback for UCLA in the 87 and 88 season?
Troy Aikman.
Bang. Yep.
Solid. You know your University of California at Los Angeles. I didn't even know Aikman played at UCLA.
I barely knew it. All right. So wait, you said first one to 5. So if I get one right, I win.
If he gets it, yeah. That's
Oh,
5.
baby. I need this one.
Okay,
you're
so
going
do
to
you
have to
wanna-
remind me who not to play because I'm going to accidentally at night be like, why is this guy not in?
All right.
I don't think you'll know that one, so I'm not going to play that one. Hold on.
Okay. This is college football now?
Yeah.
He had to go to Aikman. He couldn't go farther back to Roger Staubach. Would have got that.
So do you guys
Captain
want
America.
to? Okay, here. This one, you
Oh,
might give answers
you'd be
to that stuff.
surprised.
Do you want to do it?
Sure. Why not? If neither of us know it, then we'll
You might. I don't think Mike will because I won't know any of this shit.
then yes, definitely
Um,
ask it if Mike consents to it.
Just ask it.
Okay, let me see if I can find it again. I'll give you.
Then I have an
options.
excuse
Okay.
if I lose this week. So
Okay. Here we go. So, I'll give you 4 choices.
Nah, we don't need choices.
Okay. Which coach won the first Big 12 championship?
Wait,
Bob
like
Stoops.
Big 12 or Big 8?
Yes,
Big 12.
Bob
The
Stoops.
first Big 12 championship.
No, Mac Brown.
Mac Brown. I'm trying to think of when did they become 12 from 8?
Would you like the options?
Was it Daryl K.
Sure.
Royal? Tell me it was Daryl K. Royal.
Go with the option.
All right. Spike Dykes,
No.
Bill Snyder,
No.
Tom Osborne, Joe Makovich. Or John Makovich.
I'm going to go Osborne.
It's not Bill Schneider
I don't
because
think it's
K-State
Bill
did not win
Snyder
the
'cause
first Big
he's-
12
yeah.
championship.
Well, you said Osborne, so Chris gets one, and then we're moving on.
Makovich.
Bang.
All right, ask a real question. I'm not going to win on that one.
That was the first Big 12 championship. I figured you
What
might
year
know
was
that
it?
because
What year was it?
96.
96
96?
when he led Texas to the Big 12 championship.
Yeah, because I remember Texas won the first and the last Big 12 championship. Well, not last Big 12, but the last traditional
the
Big
one
12.
that they were in. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, because they went from the Big 8.
So I can give you another one because I did have another decent one up here.
I can do a Big 12 one. Barry Sanders College.
I'll give you one that you both could know, and we could end it here.
Okay.
Well, potentially. Where did Bud Kiss attend college?
Illinois.
Gotta be quicker on that draw, but
Boom.
Yep.
I'll be taking a look at your fantasy
Stadium.
roster.
Let me know who, and
Okay.
then I'll let you know if I'm going to keep them on because I fluctuate people. So
Fair enough. Well, Mike,
that might
let me
be
know.
good. He needs to lock it in. Lock it in.
let
If
me
you-
know.
If you choose not to play him, it don't matter.
Well, yeah. Well, I'm not
I'll
gonna,
text
like,
the group chat tonight and let you know who's not playing.
Like I think I have the Packers defense. I'm not going to have the Packers defenses.
Yeah.
I'm
You mean
probably
you're
gonna
starting
get
the
rid of them.
Packers defense?
I'll let Chris beat me. It's all good.
Thank you. Yeah, I know, Mike, you got to get going. Thank you for jumping on with us to go through NFL and college stuff.
Thanks for having
Appreciate
me.
having you on. Any last words before you get off?
Going to the Lions game Monday night, so that will be fun. Seattle, and then Tigers are going to make the playoffs. So
Boom. You heard it here
Yeah.
first, folks. Before we continue on with our show, and as Mike is slowly exiting left, we just remind you that we are a proud partner of Synergy Coffee Chicago. Ladies and gentlemen, black coffee is back. I know it's 2024 and we're all obsessed with our lattes, oat milks, and pumpkin spice, but rest assured there is something out there that is a lot easier on your taste buds, stomach, and most importantly, your wallet. This show is a proud partner with Synergy Coffee Chicago, an up-and-coming company right here in my backyard. Synergy is proud to produce small batch coffees from all around the world, infusing them with unique flavors and roasting them fresh every week. I personally am hooked on the Dark Knight, which is sourced from Mexico. It boasts a rich flavor with notes of cinnamon, abuelita, and vanilla, and it always hits the spot. I brew it up in my Chemex every weekend when I'm home, and I sip on it all day long. Go ahead and check out synergycoffeechicago.com for more information on the ground and whole bean blends that Synergy has to offer. All right, we're back to finish up the show. Last segment, I'll take the Bush League highlight of the week. If you didn't see it, Virginia Tech had a great football game this weekend, and the good news is that Dan Orlovsky, Mike's all-time favorite Lions quarterback, is now off the hook for having the worst safety in the history of being a quarterback. Mike, I don't know if you watched the video already, but we'll watch it together now. Pretty interesting one. So takes a snap on the 5-yard line, drops back. Line gets kind of not blown up, but it's not a great job of blocking. But he kind of gets caught up with the left defensive end and his right tackle. And as he's falling, he just gives it the old heave-ho, storm in the beaches of Normandy grenade toss directly backwards. And I think he actually made a field goal through the uprights. So, yeah, a wild safety. Derek, I don't even know what else to say about it. It's just a wild play.
It's a wild safety, 100% to your point. I'm honestly just more amazed at the zip that was on that ball. It looked like an intended pass, right? And I know that's the whole gist of the meme there, but there was zip and it was on a line. It wasn't like a dead duck coming out of there. I mean, it was moving. So yeah, that was definitely more of an interesting play. Originally, when I first saw the clip come through and everyone was saying that they threw backwards out of bounds, I was like, okay, was this guy just turned around? But no, I mean, obviously the ball just came loose out of there, but that thing came out moving like he was intending to try and get rid of it. But it's one of those good plays and it's going to stick around for a while. And sadly, he's going to remember that in the old clubhouse there.
Yeah, that'll make its rounds again. Yeah, Dan Orlovsky off the hook now. I know he tweeted it as well. I think he said, like, he quoted it was like, "Leave me alone now. Like, I'm done. I'm not the guy. I'm not the dumbass safety guy anymore." So, yeah. We love college football for its ups. We love college football for its downs, and that was definitely a down play for him, as well as a Virginia Tech team that is way worse than anticipated right now. So that's an unfortunate one. I thought they might be on their way back to a little bit more prominence, but yeah, tough look for him. Looks like Mike can't even leave. We've trapped him here.
Yeah, the session, like, it won't let me leave the session, so I guess I'll just...
I don't know why you just can't hit the X in the top right corner.
No, because that...
I was told don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that.
He's a guest.
So I guess I'll just sit here. I watched that.
Beautiful.
I do think Orlowski's was worse.
You think Dan Orlovsky's was just because of the awareness
It was
factor?
controlled. It was controlled.
Hey,
Dan
he
Orlovsky
ran
had
out.
full control of his body.
Yeah, he
That's fair.
ran out. He was getting chased by Jared Allen. It's still worse because of the year. It was the 0-16.
Oh, that was the 0-16
epitome
year.
It was the epitome of Lions football. that
Shout
year.
out Dan Campbell, 0-16 to hopefully maybe
Yeah.
Super Bowl
Dan
champion.
Campbell was on that team too. This one just was awful. Like, it obviously he was trying not to embarrass himself, and I think he did. I think at the end of the day, though, this one will be remembered like Darren Orlowski as well.
That's fair, yeah.
Because it was funny because you had Jared Allen pointing and laughing at Orlowski as he was pump faking after he ran out the back of the...
Yeah, let us know what was worse, Dan Orlovsky or that. Both pretty bad. Hey, that's the new definition of beamer ball down there in at Virginia Tech, baby. Beamer ball is chucking it out the back of the end zone.
Chucking it out the back.
Mike, since you're with us by force, do you want to give us your hot take for the week?
For the week, a hot
Or,
take.
I mean, it doesn't have to happen this week, but just your hot take right now.
I know I wasn't prepared for this.
I wasn't either, and I write the damn script, and I didn't even prepare myself for it. Derek, you got a hot take this week?
I'm trying.
I think Georgia loses to Bama.
Ooh.
I'll give you a 1-pointer there, maybe a 2. We'll see what the odds look like. That's a 1 or 2-pointer. I'll take that.
Give me 2 points. Bama by 10.
Bama by 10. Okay, I mean, it's in Tuscaloosa. All right, I'll give you my hot take. We'll stick with college football. Oklahoma drops to Auburn this week.
Ooh.
Take or wishful take.
Which I almost don't know if I want to say that, though, because they're just going to be even more pissed off for Red River because they have a bye week just like Texas and then into Red River. But I'm saying Auburn takes on Oklahoma this week.
Mike, if you don't have a hot take, you're good. We'll make you do it next time because I don't want you to get divorced by being stuck on this podcast.
Can confirm.
No, yeah. No, I'll go with the I'll go with one really quick here. Just looking.
Alex Orji, 300-yard passing game.
No, I mean that's a dumb take, hot take.
That's freezing cold.
I'll go with a crazy one.
Okay.
College football or pro?
It'll be pro,
Okay.
and though it shouldn't happen, I think it will happen. Russell Wilson will start multiple games for the Steelers this year.
Boom. You heard it here
And
first.
Not because of injury.
When we say
I'll
multiple,
throw that caveat. More than
are we over
more than
4?
one. More than one. More than
Okay.
one is multiple.
Hey, I appreciate that lesson here, Mike. That'll wrap it up for episode 4 of the Coffee and Cups podcast. Again, thank you, Mike, for being on, even though we kept you longer than you're allowed to be on. We will see you next week for sure, maybe even this weekend. Have a great weekend. Grab a beer, grab a coffee, grab something, grab a Gatorade. Watch some sports this weekend, and get back with us next week.
Tune in next Sunday for another show and a cup of Joe.